Hey guys, and welcome to CMJ Live. And I'm excited, great person, and I just want to get into the story real quick. So I am part of Toastmasters, and I did a competition. We had it at downtown Four Corners at Brampton City Hall, and then this gentleman just gravitated to him. He has a spirit, and we were just talking, and he didn't hold nothing back. I got comfortable with him, and we started talking, and he's here today. John, so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey everybody, my name is John Ribeiro, and I'm here with Charles. I'm really excited to be here. Having that conversation with you, those few minutes that we did have, I felt like we connected.
Yes.
Which is why I'm here today. And it's really about building those relationships and the short connections that you have.
I think we were in the back room ready to have our turn because it was a competition to go out, and we're competing against each other, but it didn't feel like that.
No.
We just came out and we started saying, so how are you? What are you doing? How's Toastmasters? What's everything going for you? Everything's good. And we just started talking about why we're doing it and what goals we have. And then it came out that you got a lot of good things going on. And I thought to myself, okay, I said to you, you got to be on my show then.
Yeah.
You got to be on my show. You have a lot of strengths and good things going on. So let's start, since we talked about it, let's start with the Toastmasters. I'm going to flip it back to what I always do, the background. But since we talk about Toastmasters, tell them what area you are and who you are now with Toastmasters. It's a great honor. So go ahead.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny. So next week is my 10-year anniversary with Toastmasters International.
Okay.
So I'm a long-time Toastmaster. The reason I got into the program is because I wanted to really develop my communications.
Yeah.
As a secondary piece of it, there's also leadership skills that you learn from it. So I've been active in taking on different roles within Toastmasters. For those of you that are new to Toastmasters, we belong to District 86, which is southwestern Ontario all the way to Windsor.
Right.
And that's the group that we belong to. So I've been a club president, I've been an area governor, area director, I've been an ambassador for the education program. I've taken on a lot of different roles. In 2014, I completed my DTM. So there's two education channels that you go through. One is communication, one is leadership. When you get to the end of both of those tracks, you get something called a Distinguished Toastmaster Award. Very few people internationally ever get that, so I'm very honored that I got to complete to that point. And even just recently, I am now the president of my Toastmasters Club, where I get to give back to the community, but also help grow leaders in our community. And there's a couple of people from my club specifically that serve as public relations manager, a division director, and it's a way of giving back. You take away from a program what you think you need.
Yes.
And then you realize you get everything you need, and what's the right thing to do is to give back to the program, which is essentially what I've been able to do over these last couple of years. And
it's funny enough that going into it's not what everybody thinks it is.
No, it's not about giving a toast, like toast.
No.
That's what everybody thinks.
Yeah, because everybody's like, okay, well, Chuck, you've been doing MC work for over 20 years. You're on the radio. You have a TV show. Why am I in Toastmasters?
Yeah.
Right? But it's not like that. Toastmasters brings a different level to you.
Oh,
right?
yeah, and so if you're looking to develop your communications, it's really about structure, and it's about being succinct in your message and not losing people.
Right.
Really, there's a lot of good people who think they know how to speak, but when they get up in front of people, they lose their audience.
It's a whole different spectrum.
And it's like, man, you are like a director, VP. You're like a guy who owns like a big enterprise in a big company. And you totally lost me after 5 minutes, right?
And then, we won't mention any names, but it's funny. In our own classes, there is lawyers, doctors, CEOs of big companies that are in this class because they feel uncomfortable speaking to their employees, to other big directors, and you're like, but you own this company.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed to see people that are in the class with you.
Yeah, and listen, we all go through that struggle. They say public speaking ranks up there with death. And I can't remember the other one, but it's the two scariest things you can do, or one of the scariest things you can do with your life. Right?
I do remember a friend of mine, he can talk. He's a car salesman. He's phenomenal, #1 in Canada. But every time I brought him on stage, he froze.
Yeah.
And we joke around with it, we'd laugh all the time. But it's the stage, and looking at people is a whole different aspect. But I'm so proud of you that, excuse me, that now you're the president.
Yeah, the president of my club, and actually, it's been crazy. Like this year's has been nuts in terms
Yeah.
of what's been happening. Yeah, and that's just only a piece of what I do. And
So let's go back now. Where are you from?
where am I from? I'm from Toronto.
You're a
I was
Torontonian.
Born and raised in Toronto.
Okay.
But I am the son of immigrant parents.
Okay.
So I would say I'm first generation Canadian.
Right.
My parents, their background is Portuguese.
Okay.
So they came here to make a better life for themselves, and essentially that's what they've done. And you know, I get to reap the rewards of that, right?
Yes, yes.
You don't realize how good it is here until you're not here and you're somewhere else.
Yeah, then you realize, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's like, let's go back to Toronto. You know, and I get asked this question, why Toronto? Why not go and explore and be other places? I'm like, listen, everybody in the world is coming to Toronto.
Exactly.
Why would you leave Toronto to go somewhere
to go
else?
explore somewhere else, people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, they're all trying to move into here.
Yeah.
So that's telling me I should not be moving out. Everybody's trying to get in, right?
Yeah, and when you think about it, like, this is the place. There's opportunity. There's growth. Yes, it's not the States, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm thankful it's not because it's Canada and we
Yeah.
have a different way of doing things. It's the culture is different and
Yeah.
it's, man, I'm really happy to be here.
Where did you go to school?
So school, I went to school downtown Toronto. I went to 3 different schools. They all started with A. So St. Agnes, St. Daniel's, Antoine Daniel, and there was another school in there. I can't remember. But
Okay.
like various places. I lived primarily in North York, which is
Okay.
now part of the greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because when I was downtown, I was very heavily tied into my community. So I lived at
Okay.
DuPont and Dufferin.
Yeah.
And there's like, that's the Portuguese community. You
Yep.
hang out with other Portuguese kids, and
Yeah.
that's all you know.
Okay.
In grade 4, I moved up to North York,
Okay.
and now we're talking multiracial. You know, it's a mix, right? Like
Yeah.
you got your Chinese people, you've got your Caribbean people,
Yeah.
you got like white people. Like it's just, man, it's so different.
It's like it's an eye opener. Like, wait a minute, from here to here, and it's a little mix, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah, and then you know we even grew. My third and last school in elementary was, you know, full of Filipinos because Filipinos were now coming into Toronto.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, like this is how diverse we are, and this is, you know, we get to experience something you don't get to experience everywhere
day.
else.
Yeah. So then, what is your 9 to 5? So, because you come into here, and I'm like, the reason I'm asking is, you have your 9 to 5, but then what makes you say at that point, I should explore Toastmasters?
Yeah, what made me want to explore it is because I wanted to progress in my career. So I worked
Okay.
for a telecom. I'm not
Right.
going to say which one.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
But I worked for a telecom, and I really wanted to take my career and progress it. Where I started, and you know, where a lot of people, not a lot of people, but where people think they need to start is at the bottom, and essentially that's what I was.
Yeah.
I was a phone taker. I was a person who provided support technically on the phones.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make a change and a transition outside of that.
Right.
Which is why I joined the Toastmasters organization, is to improve that. Because I knew, you know, people used to say I used to talk just to move the air around me.
Okay.
Yeah, it hurt. It really hurt.
I'm not, cause I'm gonna keep that one.
Yeah,
I never heard that before.
You speak because
to move the air around me.
you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna take that one.
So I took that to heart, and I knew, you know, there's definitely some improvement to be made. Right?
Okay.
So this is why I joined as well, to learn how to deliver the message.
Yeah.
How to really put myself out there in a way that sounded intelligent.
Yes.
But also in a way that sounded clean and professional.
Okay.
And this is where I've changed over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Where I've been on stages of 250 people, you know, not stages as big as yours, but
Yeah.
definitely stages where, you know, when you walk off, people come up to you. It's like, wow, man, I'm really happy you got to share your story with us.
Yes.
And you've helped us in one way or another, changed how they think they can live their lives and live it in a much better way.
Now, the reason I'm getting so much into why you did it and the Toastmasters, because I know, and we're going to talk about it in a few minutes, you've taken your life, and I always talk about the young people on my show, because I want them to know, okay, there could be some Italians or the Portuguese or people watching you and going, okay, his life is like my life.
Yeah.
His life can, and then he's got a job, and he's growing, and he's doing Toastmasters, and now he's the president, and now he's doing different things. This is why I do this show. It's to show people that there's great people like you out there, so if they can follow and watch what you're doing, they can do it as well, right?
Thanks,
so
man.
when we come back, you actually got a book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got a book.
You got a book. I'm going to launch this when we get back. So when we get back, let's talk about your book, and then let's talk about all the different events and things that you do for the community.
All right.
And let's talk about all the new event that's coming up. What day is the event coming up?
November, December the 7th.
December 7th.
6th. I'll double check it while we're on break.
Okay, so December, we have a show, and it's here in Brampton.
Yes.
That's what I like about it. Again, we are Bramptonians, bring events to Brampton, all right? You're watching CMJ Live. We'll be right back.
Think you have what it takes to bring value to the community? The TCN TV network is expanding and now accepting TV show proposals. Here's an opportunity to build celebrity status and become part of an elite group of community advocates that are focused on building, strengthening, and empowering our community in a positive way. Are you interested in embarking on a new adventure? TCN TV is searching for people interested in opportunities to change the conversation and pave an unforgettable legacy. If you feel you have something of value to offer, send a written show proposal to shows@mytcntv.com.
Hey, and we're back on CMJ Live. Okay, so just before we went to break, we were talking about this great event that is happening in Brampton, and you know, people, Bramptonians, I always push Brampton, but this is going to be a great event. It's actually LinkedIn, and if you don't know what LinkedIn is, then you need to get on LinkedIn first of all.
Yeah.
And second of all, learn about what LinkedIn can do for you, not just for business-wise, but for you personally as well. Because when you go for jobs and everything, hate to tell you, people, they're going on your LinkedIn profile. Yeah. They're looking at you. So tell us a little bit more about it. It's on December the 6th, so that's next week Wednesday.
Yeah.
And actually, it's at Lab B down at near Four Corners by the library there.
Actually, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, it's on my feed. You'll see it. There's a link to an Eventbrite site that you need to register. The event is free. There's a great panelists that are coming. So there's a LinkedIn expert. There's a gentleman by the name of Manu. He's a 20 under 20. The guy's phenomenal in terms of the story that he shares and what he's been able to do. I'll be on the panel talking about it using LinkedIn if you're in the process of looking for work and what you should have on your profile. So reach out to us. And there's also Daisy, who is a career coach, and she's going to be talking about LinkedIn as well. It's going to be a great event. Like I said, it is a free event. You're going to walk away with some great value because I know the speakers are all about providing value back to their audience.
And what time is it?
So it starts at 6. I believe that's when they start networking, and the actual kickoff of the speakers start off at 7.
All right, so get there for 6.
Get there for 6.
Get there for 6.
For sure.
All
just
right.
to mix and mingle with people. I'm a big fan of just connecting.
Yes.
Connecting with people one-to-one. I go to a networking event. I don't want to talk to every single person.
No.
I want to talk to that person that shines in the room, like I did with you.
Yeah.
You know, there was other people there, but you're the guy that, man, this Charles guy, I don't know, something about him.
and the funny thing is, I learned something from somebody, and it made a couple really sense. When you go out to networking events, he told me you have 5 business cards. You have 5.
Yeah.
Make sure that you don't just giving out your cards all willy nilly. He goes, you only have 5. So find that 5 people in a crowd of 100 that you really want to connect with.
So let me just, can I?
Yeah, good.
So I don't do business cards anymore, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because I use LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my new business card.
Okay.
I want to connect with somebody. I'll actually hand them over my phone. I'll say, hey, can you search yourself and make the connection?
Yeah.
This way I stay connected with people. I can send them a message, because what happens with those business cards that you collect?
They throw them away, or it goes in the garbage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You chuck them, right? So this way you connect with them online. You're linked with them. They accept your request. You can now start a conversation. And this is something where people struggle, right? Like, how do I start a conversation with somebody I don't know?
Yeah.
Hey, man, I met you at the event. Remember you made the request to yourself?
Yeah.
You know, could we sit down and have like a coffee for 15 minutes? And really, that 15 minutes is all you need to really build a relationship. You can determine whether or not that is the relationship you want to proceed with, right? And it could be a phone call, in person, whatever it is. But to me, the business card, I think, is dead. I'm also a tech guy. I've got 20 years in the tech industry.
Yeah.
So why not use the technologies that we have, right?
It's funny that you said that. I do use business card, but then there's another app that I use. It's called Online Business Card. So same thing. You give the phone number, you put her phone number in, and it actually sends them your business card. But in the business card, it adds a couple of websites, a couple of links in as well. So it gets their full thing, like you said, on their phone. Yeah. So love it. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely the place for you to tell your story. And actually, one of the panelists I learned from this year, her name is Shelly. She talks about using your LinkedIn platform as your personal brand, like highlighting your brand.
Okay.
It's not about listing. It's not your online resume, and a lot of people make that mistake, that LinkedIn is an online resume.
Yeah.
It's not. It's your brand statement. So, what did Charles do with, what has Charles done with his career? What kind of person is Charles? What does he represent? What does he stand for? What is he doing today? Who's he connected with? Who validates what Charles does? And that's done through the recommendation section.
Yes.
So there is so much value there. And with Microsoft taking it over, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, what they've done is they've infused some money into it, but not really touched it.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? There's no blue screen. It's blue, but it's not the blue screen of death. But essentially what they've done, from my perspective, is they let the company do what it does best, and that's build out its platform, this time with funding.
Okay.
Right? So the platform is changing. To me, it's growing internationally. Okay. It's like, wow.
Since you went into this, I'm going to go into this as well, all right? Because, I'm just giving a snippet, but we're going to cut it off because I want everybody to go to the seminar. This is a snippet you're getting. LinkedIn regular, LinkedIn Prime.
So I am a LinkedIn regular user. Okay. I don't use the premium services. They're expensive. Okay. And a lot of people tell you they're expensive, but depending on what you're doing, right? Okay. So if you want to collect as a salesperson, collect names, and you want to reach out to people directly, you can still do that through the free account. There's ways to do it. You have to go to the workshop, to the seminar to find out how.
There you go.
With the premium services, it's at a different level. You're making different types of connections. You're reaching out and doing sales, essentially.
Right.
But there's a lot of free things you can do. You just need to know how.
All right, and we're cutting it off there.
Sorry, man. I didn't want to make this a LinkedIn call.
You got to make this on December the 6th. If you want to know more and how this can give you your brand, help you with your work, share the new business card, you have to go there December 6th, Lab B, 6 p.m. Go to your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. Ribeiro John. Actually, just look for me. My picture looks like me, I guess.
There you go.
It's not like a wedding shot from like 10 years ago. But yeah, so just go find me. And actually, it's the same photo that's on the site. So
all right. All right there. So let's go straight into the book.
All right.
The book. Cool. Zero to Hero is what.
Zero to Hired, man.
No, but I'm saying when you told me about your kids, right? Remember you're doing the program and helping the kids. Talk about that before we get into the book.
So the kids.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a lot of different things that I do for kids.
Right.
Actually, I speak to quite a few nonprofits about, how do you build your personal brand? How do you go in with confidence? And really, and this is where this all comes from. This is where this book kind of comes from.
Yeah.
Is, growing up as a kid in Toronto, growing up in a primarily Portuguese community, you're pretty much assigned to a particular type of work, right? And, nobody really helps you outside of that. Nobody really gives you the confidence to go do something else.
Right.
So, man, like I struggled with breaking out, right? Breaking out of the typical type of Portuguese type of role. So construction, landscaping, gardening, cleaning, like these are the things that all the people around me were doing.
Right.
And I'm like, how do I break out of this? You break out by connecting with different people. You talked about your 5 business cards. There's this ideology around you are the sum of the 5 that you hang out with the most. So you connect with the new 5.
Okay.
So when I do talks and I talk to kids who are going through the process of looking for work today, I talk about, get into a circle of new 5. Actually, and we just did an interview with somebody who's in that situation right now.
Right.
And regardless of where you're at and who you're with, we all have a similar type of story. It's that struggle story. How do we break out of it? And we break out of it by learning, by consuming new information, and by connecting with new people. And going where other people are already at and finding out from them what they're doing. And really, that's been my secret to really progressing forward and moving forward is learning from the people that are there already today.
Okay. So then your book, it launches and it came out when?
So it came out in July, and it's called Zero to Hired. Here it is.
There we go. Let's get that so everybody can see that. We'll make sure that they can get that out there.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about the book and who's on the book, because I see a couple of people.
So there's 2 people. So there's myself and there's Connell Valentine, who is my co-author on the book. You can't see it because it's on the reverse side.
Yep.
But so the 2 of us. So what's really interesting, it's written from the perspective of a hiring manager, not an HR recruiter or an HR personnel. We felt that today we see a lot of people struggling through the interview process.
Right.
In my career, I've been outsourced. My role's been outsourced more than once, and luckily I've been able to survive the waves that come. And in the process, I've gone through and I've had to interview people for my teams.
Okay.
So essentially what I've done is I've taken all those best practices of the people that have been really successful, and I've incorporated those strategies into this book. My co-author, Connell Valentine, he is a brand new Canadian. He's only been here for 2 years. Within 2 weeks of landing in Canada, he had a job.
2 weeks.
2 weeks of landing in Canada, he had a job. And he moved from Dubai to Canada because he was, he wanted to make a change for his family.
Right.
Dubai, as nice as a country it is, there's certain things you just don't have there that you have here.
Okay.
So collectively, we put our thoughts together and we're like, okay, so he took his strategies that he used from preparing for a year to make the change to Canada.
Right.
And plus my 20 years of experience. And it's also written from a Gen Xer and a millennial's perspective.
Okay.
Because he's a millennial. And essentially we give you the inside tips of what you really need to know before you go in the room, how to get yourself ready, and giving you the strategies to put yourself ahead of other people. Right. It's not a how-to guide from an HR perspective. It's like, man, I'm the person you're going to sit across from. This
is what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
when you sit in front of me as someone that's hiring, this is what I'm looking for.
I'm telling you exactly what I need.
Right. Okay.
So, and these are the things I want you to bring to the table. So we talk about prepping. We talk about doing mock interviews. We talk about branding yourself so you know what you're like before you go in the room. But also selecting the type of organization you want to work for.
Okay.
At the end of the day, a lot of people get into jobs that they hate, right? They do it because they need the money or whatever.
Right.
You can do that ahead of time, figure out what you want to do, what you don't want to do.
And just search out for that.
And search out for that and only apply to those jobs. So, if you're somebody who likes to do a lot of different things, you apply to a company that's either a startup or a mid-sized company.
Okay.
If you're a person who wants like a very specific type of role and you're going to do one thing and you're not going to deviate from that, then you want to get into a larger role, like a larger organization.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I was just flipping through. It's my first time looking at it, and there's a chapter in here that I love because I remember the first time I went in, and it's called Chapter 9, The Hot Seat. Okay? And I know everybody, it doesn't make a difference if you're in work now or you're going for a job. That's how you feel.
Yeah.
You're waiting outside and they say, and then the secretary, someone says, Mr. Matthews, you say, yes, come on in. And then that's when the sweat starts. That's when you're sitting in front of the chair. It could be the most comfortable chair ever, but it just feels like it's getting hot.
Yeah.
So when we get back, let's talk about one of your chapters called The Hot Seat.
Cool.
And then I want your 3 tips
from
the book that somebody's going for an interview in the next couple hours, what they can do.
For sure.
All right.
You can do that.
We'll be right back. Here is the book. All right. We'll be right back.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
When you know your purpose, you know your function, because the function dictates the purpose. It's not talking about what color this thing is. Life is about a function. And only when you function do you see purpose. This is where we live, just here. What we think. We miss the human when we just focus on the black on the hand or the white of the palm. But my goal in life is to get people to understand your function. Let them feel their love. Let them know you. Let them know your struggle. So when we talk about community, it's talking about coming together, unity.
Hey guys, and welcome back. As usual, we always have time behind the scenes, and if you want to see more, don't forget, go behind the scenes, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, Facebook. You can go behind the scenes and see what we talk about when we're off air. We are back. Please reintroduce yourself.
Yeah, hey everybody, it's John Ribeiro, the author of Zero to Hired, coach, speaker, you name it, just a nice guy.
All right, and before we went away, I said I looked at one of your chapters right here. Chapter 9, the hot seat. And it breaks it. And then the thing about it, in your book, you break each part down.
Yeah.
So you have like here your arrival, your body language, greeting and handshake, arriving in the interview room, your attitude, confidence, honesty, humility, sincerity, respect, ask intelligent questions, the line between, how far can you go when you're in the interview, right? Speak up, and wrapping up, and then tests. So
where do you start?
It's not as easy anymore. We were just talking that off here. What happened to the back in the days? You go in, hi, I'm this, can I have the job? This is what I want to do, and they shake your hand. You go, okay, we'll give you a call, and you're out.
Yeah, actually, so going back to my very first tech job,
yeah,
that was essentially it. I walked into a store, I had a resume in hand, I dropped it on the counter. I'm like, hey man, can you give me a job? He's like, he asked me 4 questions. He's like, all right, this works. You start tomorrow.
Boom.
That was it. Yeah, but I also went to like 10 different doors before somebody actually said that.
Okay.
Right.
So this is to stop you from going 10 different interviews.
Yes, for sure.
Pick the one you want.
Correct.
And nail it the first time. You don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
And like we were off air talking about, make sure it is the one you want in that field. So for example, if it's a big corporation and you don't want the mailroom, don't just take the mailroom because they're giving you the mailroom.
So I have 2 thoughts on that. Right?
Okay.
So it depends, right? So it depends on where your education and your skills are at.
Yeah.
If you're a new grad, if you just want to get your foot in the door. So one thing people don't know is 80% of jobs inside these big organizations are not advertised externally.
Okay.
They stay internal. From what I've seen, organizations want to grow their people from within.
Gotcha.
So they give the opportunity to those people first.
In-house.
Right. So, and if I look at my own backstory and how I got started, I got into an entry-level position, and I moved around. And I've moved around several times. So I'm not stuck in one position. And the organization's big enough that it can sustain that. Right, so I can keep moving around. I can keep learning new things,
right? Even
if my role gets eliminated, right?
Gotcha. Okay, so it's okay to get in. Just make sure that you
have a plan.
A plan to.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, talk about the chapter, the hot seat.
The hot seat. So the hot seat is really about being in the room when you do the interview, but there's a lot of prep work that you need to do before you get there.
Right.
Right. And one of the things that we talk specifically to is confidence. Like, how do you have confidence when you walk in the room? And you do it through preparation. And you know this because of public speaking and Toastmasters. So when you deliver a speech, you're not coming up with the speech on the spot, right? Like, a good speech is never a speech that,
you just rambled off.
Yeah, you don't. Like, I don't care who you are. Even Steve Jobs used to prepare for hours and hours and hours before he did his big keynotes, which seemed really natural, very conversational, and just really easy. So to get the confidence before you go in the room, it's all about preparation. So tip number 1, here's a tip. Know your stories before you walk in.
All right, tip 1, know your stories.
Know your stories. And what you do is you write down all the different things that you've gone through. So listen, there's no secret. The internet today supplies you all the questions to pretty much every interview question out there.
Okay.
Right? That's something we didn't have back in our day. We didn't have that advantage, right?
No.
And I know that even some jobs today will give you the questions ahead of time.
Yes.
Which is like, wow, like, how could
like,
you...
where was that when we were... Yeah, I know, yeah.
I'm like, man, like, what do you mean they gave you the questions ahead of time? Oh, they want to make sure all the candidates are fair, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that kind of seems a little nuts to me, but, but this is what's happening. So...
Yes.
know your story. So before you walk in the room, there should be no guessing. If the question is what makes you unique or what makes you different, you should have a response to that.
Okay.
The question, one of the big one is, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yes.
And it's knowing the difference that it's not really about your education, but also how you fit into the team, right? So it's not necessarily...
Hold on. Sorry to cut you.
Yeah,
When they say, tell me about yourself,
yes.
This is what I've been in interviewing people. How far? Because this is what everybody does. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Okay, well, in grade 9, I was like, how far do you go back when you say, tell me about yourself?
Okay, so this is good. So we're big on the fact that you should know what the pain point is within the organization.
Okay.
Right? And there's a lot of places where you can get that information. You can go online, you can read news reports, you can use Google Alerts to find out what's coming up in the media about that organization.
Right.
So what you're going to say when you say, tell me about yourself, it's really about how you're addressing the pain points the organization is feeling.
Okay.
Right? So this is the skill set that I have, this is the education, this is the background, this is my personal passions and desire and what I'm able to do.
It fits within the organization.
That fits within the problem statement of the organization or what they're going through today.
Okay.
And that's what makes you stand out, because now you're educated, you know about the company that you're applying for, you understand their pain points, and you understand where you get to bring value.
Okay.
Right? So that's what makes you different.
Okay.
So actually, that's probably tip number 2. So researching the company.
Research. All right.
But know your stories, and I'm just going to go back to this one for a quick second. This one is all about writing the responses to the questions that you're going to anticipate in the interview, right?
Okay.
So you know that you're going to get asked this question, this question, this question. What you're going to do is you're going to write down stories that show the best you to each of those questions. And you're going to use something called a STAR format, which is situation, task, action, and result. And you're always going to write it in that format. So, if I'm going to go through this real quickly, situation is, we're going through a big change in the organization. We're downsizing. We have to learn how to be more efficient. Some of the tasks where we needed to reduce this and this and this. The actions I took is we put things into place through some automation, and the result is we still continued at the same level of work with less people.
Okay.
Right? So that's like a very high overview of what a STAR is, but that's how you're going to respond to every story.
Okay.
Right? And everybody has things that they've gone through. The one thing that kills me is when you ask people, tell me about a time you've had a conflict with somebody. And people say, but I don't really argue with people. No, man, everybody argues with people at some point. So, sometimes it's subtle. And
the funny thing is, I'm laughing because I'm looking at both of us. We both have rings on. So when you say to them, I don't really argue with period. If you are married,
yeah, you argue.
You argued, period. Move on. Okay.
So, so highlighting and knowing the responses, knowing those conflicts, even if you can't find a situation at work, you can always take it from your personal life and apply it to, because what you really want to show the person is how you're able to handle different things.
Right.
And the third one, the third point that I'm going to hand out is really just put yourself in the right mindset. So don't sit in the waiting room looking at your phone, going through mail, or looking at videos. Just, sit back, relax, take the time to breathe, and go through your stories in your head.
So when you're in the waiting room, bring yourself together.
Yeah, but don't be surfing and looking at magazines. Go through your stories.
Okay.
And you should be actually going through your stories with somebody else. So you should actually rehearse them. So as a public speaker, one of the things that we do, we rehearse our stories, whether it's in front of a mirror, in front of an audience, in front of family members, the dog, whatever. Whoever wants to listen to us gives us the opportunity to practice. Like that, when we get into the room, our stories are fluid. And we're not coming from a position where we're nervous because we know it so well. Right? And that's what takes away the sweats, right?
Okay.
Like that, you're sitting in the room, it's like, man, you know, I know my stories. I'm going to go through them. I'm going to give my honest and truest answers. Don't ever lie in an interview. That's horrible. Okay. Because if you get caught, you're done. And actually, my favorite interviews are the ones where people lie and then you just kind of dig into the lie where they can't lie anymore, right? Those are so much fun. You know, I never tell anybody that, but they are so much fun. So don't lie. Be genuine. Be real.
Oh my goodness! I'm just that poor person, because now they're trying to dig this one out, and then you ask them a question, and they're trying to dig that one out, and it's Okay.
And so, do I have a second for a quick bonus?
Yeah.
Go. A quick bonus point is ask questions from the time you get picked up to the time you enter the room. Right? That's the time for you to connect with your interviewer.
Okay, hold on, wait. Say that part again. So they went outside. They
got picked up.
They said, "Hi, Mr. Matthews, come inside."
Yeah. So you have the opportunity to walk with them.
Yeah.
Ask them questions. Ask them questions about what they do, their role, the organization. That's your opportunity to really make that connection quickly.
Okay.
But
what if it's the secretary?
It doesn't matter.
Just still ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to seem personable. You want to seem friendly. You want to seem genuinely interested in what you're applying for. So ask those questions so you make that connection before you get in the room.
Okay, so the bonus one is ask questions on the way into the room.
Yeah. Because everybody just stays quiet and they wait for the hiring manager to ask them questions.
Yeah.
Turn the table around, because in the room they're going to be the ones asking you the questions.
Okay, so then that actually helps you get comfortable, because then the person is talking to you, and then a little joke here and here might fly around.
Yeah, so be careful with the jokes. Don't get too personal.
Okay.
Keep it light, but ask the question. Make that connection. Right? So seem genuinely interested in the other person and the organization and what they do.
Okay. So tip number 1, know your stories before you get there.
Yeah.
Prep, with your significant other or friend or whatever, the dog, whatever, but know your stories. So the stories come out smooth, it comes out easy. You're not making them up. It's just something that you know. Pick the best one, move forward. Research. Okay,
yes.
If I'm going to go get a job at McDonald's, I need to know what locations they are, where they are, what's on the menu, how many people they serve, what's their back order, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say yes in the interview. One of my favorite is your Whopper. Meanwhile, there's no Whopper at McDonald's. You're mixing up the two, right? So know your research.
Yeah,
Can you imagine that? You're at McDonald's and they say, "So what's your favorite burger?" "Oh, I love the Whopper. It's my favorite one." And you're like, that's Burger King. Okay, so know your company.
You're not getting a job.
Okay. 3rd one, prep yourself in the waiting room. So while you're in the waiting room, you got time. They got half an hour. You've seen them take one gentleman ahead of you. Don't sit there on your phone surfing, whatever.
Right.
Actually, go through your notes
Go through your
notes. Go through your stories. Do what you have to do. So when they do call you and they ask that question, you're like, "Oh, I know that one off the bat."
Yeah.
And then the bonus one that we're gonna give you is, as somebody comes and gets you, you can say, "Hey, how you doing?" Ask them a couple of questions, get to know a little bit more, feel more confident. So when you get into the room, there's a kind of a rapport there, right off the bat.
Absolutely.
And then I guess, and it's funny that you say that, because as the secretary or someone, whoever brings you in, when they bring you in, introduce you to the person,
their body language is different.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. They could be laughing and smiling, and now the interviewer want to know, what was the joke? Why is she smiling? Why is she so nice? That means you as a person made the person happy, so that's a bonus for you.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about more about the book and what's next in store for you and how we're gonna branch it off. You're watching CMJ Live. We'll be right back.
This holiday season, be sure to pick up your copy of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper and check out all the specials from local businesses right here in our community. Help build a bigger, better, and stronger community with your support. Happy holidays from the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. Available at your favorite Caribbean location or online at torontocaribbean.com.
There it is. That's the book. This is where you need to get. But you know what we didn't tell them?
What?
Where can I get this?
Wow. So it's on Amazon.
There you go.
Actually, if you go to my website,
Okay.
www.0tohired with the number 2 in it .com, there's a link to the Amazon site if you want to find it there. Yeah, and the website too. And one of the things that we do, and you know, I don't just talk about being value first. I'm a practitioner of it.
Okay.
And what we do through the website is we give a lot of value back to our audience, to our readers. I'm going to even call them our tribe, people who are going through the process today. One of the things that we do every month is we actually bring somebody who's going through the process today, looking for work or has at some point just landed a job. So we bring them in and they share their strategies with our audience. So there's a lot of good resources there in terms of, you know, people that are going through the process today, what they're doing, how they're staying mentally ready for the process. One of our interviews that we did was with a lady who talked about dress for success.
Okay.
So if you're in an economic situation where you can't get that outfit for the job, you can go to this organization, they'll dress you up, and they'll make sure that you put your best foot forward. So that's one of the things that we're doing through our site. We blog every week, and we're always talking about relevant content that is relevant to you. And we know that because as you sign up to our mailing list, there's a survey that goes out a few days later, and we find out where your specific pain points are, and we write to those pain points.
See, one thing why I love doing this show is something you just mentioned that a lot of people don't even know that lady exists. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're going out for a job and you look in your closet and, you know, you could be on the downside right now. You know, times are hard and you can't afford to go get that $400, $500 suit to look nice. There's this lady here that's willing to help you out to say, listen, we got you. Go get that job, do what you got to do, and then give back. Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, and this is the beauty of, you know, doing this and connecting with people out there. It's, man, there's like, as we dig more into this whole world of people who are struggling, there's a lot of people struggling to find work, man. Like, and you know, we just went to a conference a couple of weeks ago, the Gateway Conference in Markham. And there's a lot of people that are struggling to find work. They don't know how, or, you know, the one thing they'll do, and really don't do this. This is a tip. Don't do this. But don't walk up to somebody and say, here's my resume. Can you give me a job? That's not how it works, man. Like, you got to butter me up a little bit. You got to get to know me. You got to know, I got to know what your value is
How you like
first.
your coffee?
Yeah, how do you like your, no, man, don't ever give somebody your resume. That's like, and I've done several of these events, right, where I've even hosted or ran a speed networking event where people get to share their experience. Yeah. And ultimately, there's always one or two people in the room that say, "Oh, here, by the way, I'm looking for something."
Because they heard, and just remember, and the funny thing you said that because I remember people back in the time always said, "Opportunity, here, opportunity." You know, if you see somebody, they might like, bring your resume, opportunity.
No, but you gotta show your value first, right? So, offer value. Okay. Offer value, offer value, offer value. If there's one thing that I want you guys to walk away with today, it doesn't matter if you're looking for work or if you want to just build a relationship with somebody, offer your value first. And there's lots of ways to do it. I do it through the platform on LinkedIn. Yeah. So going back to that real quick. But there's always a tidbit of information that I can share with you that might help you. Okay. It could be anything. It could be a resource. In our discussion, you might have talked about something. Yes. I want to give you information on that particular topic. Okay. Hey, man, you love sailing. Not that you do love sailing. Maybe you do love sailing. I'll provide you something on sailing. So whatever it is, just provide value first. Provide value first. The value of you that brings them into your fold. Correct. And see this is somebody I need to stay in touch with and connect with because you know he's helped me out with this or he's got this, and then let me dive more into that person. Okay. And so and I want to share this quick story real quick. I have a mentor that I reached out to that I really wanted, you know, I practice what I preach. So, you know, I want to be where some people are at, so I reach out to them. Okay. And my mentor, one of the mentors I have today, I followed them for a while. I learned about them, and I really understood where they were coming from. And they had gone to a conference where they had met Steve Wozniak. Okay. Steve Wozniak is Steve Jobs' partner when they launched Apple. And I used that as an entry point into the conversation. Okay. Scheduled a 15-minute meeting and said, hey, you know, would you be interested in talking? Because I want to learn more about that experience and what that was like. And I sat there for an hour, and I just asked questions. And at the end of the hour, she said, you know what, let's book a meeting 4 weeks from now. I'd like to follow up and continue this.
Okay.
And we've been doing this for over a year. We get together every 4 to 6 weeks and we just talk.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get connected with people.
Okay.
And really ask questions. Don't ever say, well, you know, this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Unless somebody asks you specifically, don't tell them. It'll come up afterwards once you
But
get into it.
we're so in the realm of social media. We're so in the realm that we want everybody to know who we are. This is what I can do. This is what I do. This is what I have. This is what I do. But you're saying that if you really are that interesting, your brand is getting pushed out, your aura is getting pushed out, your being is getting pushed out, the person will attract to that and ask you. You don't have to. You don't have to sell it up front.
Mm-hmm.
They would want to ask you to buy
Correct.
it.
So that takes patience.
Okay.
Right? So
yeah.
it takes patience because we're all dying to get something quick.
Yes.
And really, and I think this is the downfall of social. Everything is there now.
Yeah, it's a click of a button.
Yeah, you need to give it some time, right?
Okay.
But that's where, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk, big social media guy, he talks about going deep versus going wide.
Yeah.
Build those relationships one-to-one versus trying to get to know 100 different people, because those people aren't going to bring you value. That
Okay.
one person
It's
to
gonna
change
bring-
your whole world.
It can bring you value.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the tips, right? We talked about Toastmasters, what it can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the interview. What's next? Okay. If someone needs to get a job and they go to your website,
Mm-hmm.
right? How can you help them? Is it a paid interview? We pay you to sit down with us to give us over the steps to get this job? How does it work?
So first of all, we got a lot of free content that we share with our audience today. We do, like I said, we blog every week, so we're sharing something that's relevant. I do personally something called the Morning Mojo every Tuesday and Thursday, where I just share some insights on what you could do to get yourself ahead of everybody else, ahead of the crowd. What we are launching into 2018 is a podcast where we're bringing in experts. So this year, every month, we actually interview somebody that's going through the process. But what we will be offering in the upcoming weeks is coaching. So if you want specific help, we're going to have that option available for you as well.
All right. So Morning Mojo is when?
Tuesdays and Thursdays, except this Thursday. But every Tuesday and Thursday around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'll hop online through our Facebook channel, which is just facebook.com/0 to hired. And I share some insights and tips, things that I learned throughout the week or things that I've learned over the last month. Just taking information and just sharing it back out there, right? So you know something that I don't know, but if you share it with me, just like we're having this talk today, you're sharing something with everybody else. And they get to take that and move in.
And roll, and hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, so here it goes. December 6th, 2017, LinkedIn. Go to Eventbrite. You can also go on to your LinkedIn account and find out more about it. Starts at 6 p.m. at Lab B. Four Corners, Brampton, if I remember correctly, by the library there. That's where Lab B is, all right? And then we do the tips of knowledge that we talked about when you go in, is to know your stories, research, prep yourself, and then as you're walking into the room, ask questions, all right? To know about what's going on, the book is right here. You can get it on Amazon, all right? zerotohire.com. zerotohire.com. Go there, learn more about what they're happening. Podcast that you have is Morning Mojo every Tuesdays and Thursdays, where you talk about what people need to know and how you can help them out. You do a blog once a week, and then you're going through that as well. And then one tip is called the breakout of your 5, right? So if you're in your 5, and I say this all the time, more than once, so I'm glad we're on the same page with that. My thing is, if you're the smartest guy in your group,
you got to find a new group.
There you go. Find a new group, because you're not learning anything more. You know, there's nobody in that group that can teach you something else. So go find a new group. And I'm not saying just get rid of that group, but learn from the next group
and bring it back.
And pass it back down to the next group, because that's how you build. And then that's how you actually get following, because they learn from you. Like, I know John's going to learn something and pass it back down to me. All right? We got about 20 seconds left. You're on CMJ Live. And what we always do at the end is called the shout out.
The shout out.
So this is your opportunity to shout out all your family and friends and anybody that's watching. This is like the awards, you know.
All right. So first and foremost, I got a big shout out to Diane, who's my wife, who has been a great supporter as I've been going through this. We've been together for 8 years, and it's been fantastic. So thank you, darling. To the kids as well. You know, I even have one of their stories in the book. You know, thanks for being there. And to, you know, the next one is to my co-author, Connell, who, you know, together we put this thing together. This was just like one of those thoughts that we had.
Yeah.
And we kind of took it and we massaged it, and now we've developed it into something really great. That's it. And a shout out to you, man, for putting on the show and for really getting the good news out there, if I could say that, and just sharing it and pushing it forward, man. You know, I'm really happy that I got to be here today.
Oh, listen.
And be a part of this. Like, this is awesome.
The pleasure was mine because, to be honest with you, from that day, I learned a little something from you, and I took it to heart, and I'm like, okay, this is why he's doing it. Because I asked you, why are you in this thing for so long? That was the first question I asked. You said, ask questions. I asked you, you don't need to do this. Why are you in it so long? And you, like you said, it's learning more and giving back. Yeah. And when I heard that you're a person to give back, you got to be on my show. Cool. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching CMJ Live. See you next time.